Beyond the North Cape is a fabulous voyage. It provides us with an opportunity to see the diversity of Norway's coastline and environments, starting in Svalbard, spending time there, and then a second section where we cross the Barents Sea, making a stop at Bear Island, stuck out in the middle of the Barents Sea, followed by the last part of the trip along the fjords and indented coastline of mainland Norway. Lots of activities of various kinds on shore, and also lots of things to see up in the high Arctic, as well as the temperate coastline of coastal Norway.
Everybody ready? Tally-ho. Let's go and get cold. Here we see the channel that this glacier has cut through the mountains. And bear in mind, at the height of the last ice age, this glacier cut a path out to the sea. So what we have sailed up was originally the route of a glacier. That glacier's come all the way back because we're now in an interglacial. And this piece of ground where the glacier was is now flooded by the sea, and that's what we call a fjord. That lovely Norwegian word. And we're going to see these in Norway, so remember this, because when we get to Norway and we sail up these great deep sea valleys called fjords, every one of them was carved by a glacier like this. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us. We are here observing the ice age at work. The ice is still working here, still cutting these valleys. When we go south, we're going to see a landscape where the ice is gone, but all the evidence of the ice is still there. There was a swimming bear, so let's make our way over there and see if we can find what they've got. Look at the glacier, look at the right-hand end of the glacier, and he's swimming in front of the glacier. Think how cold that sea is generally. Think how much colder it is with all this ice in it. And think of the fact that he's probably been swimming around in this for the last couple of hours. These bears have incredible stamina. Look. Oh, that is something. That really is something.
So now we are in Nordvest Landet National Park, which is one of the largest national parks in Svalbard. This peninsula is called Reinsdyrflya. That means the reindeer flat. And it is a flat area with a lot of wind. So if the terrain is like this, or you have big boulders, a bear can be hiding anywhere. And that's why I want you at all times to stay behind me when I'm walking. Stick together. Can you explain how this trunk could end up here? Didn't grow in Svalbard. Yeah, Siberia, that's a good suggestion. It must have been thrown up through a heavy storm, and there are several of them here. So you can imagine how the weather is like parts of the year.
This area is, to me, one of the most precious places on Earth. 98% of Svalbard is defined wilderness, and here we are in a very remote corner of the archipelago.
It's morning on the west side of Hinlopen Strait, and and the captain has the unenviable task of negotiating the ship close to the giant cliffs of Cape Fanshawe in a howling gale. How on earth birds even fly in this is hard to imagine. But as we approach the cliffs, where they're at the height of the breeding season, over 100,000 breeding Brunnich's moths, there are still birds toing and froing, carrying in the last takeaway meals to their chicks. Tight on these ledges, packed shoulder to shoulder, are hundreds of breeding birds. This is the site they choose, and though it looks like chaos, every ledge has its own breeding pair. We can barely hold a camera steady in this wind, and yet birds are still flying in and landing. In the next week, their chicks will be gone. We cross now to the peaceful world of the Austfona ice cap.
You can see the ice wall ahead of us, maybe 75 feet or so in height, and then the vast sheet of ice going inland from there. It goes about 70 miles to the north. So again, the ice cap of Nordøstland is just ahead of the ship.
This is a journey back into the last ice age and shows us exactly what so much of northern Europe looked like 20,000 years ago. Gazing at the bare frozen cliffs, which are the product of thousands of years of accumulation of ice on this northeast island of Nordøstland.
Svalbard is one of my most favorite places because we have a real flexible itinerary, and one of the things that we insist on doing, we must do, is spend time in the pack ice. It's really a hunt. We don't know where the bears are. Spend time on the bridge, looking over the pack ice, looking for that lonely bear. We spend time with spotting scopes, looking, searching, and hopefully finding bears out in their environment on the pack ice. The Arctic is a place that is particularly interesting to me because of the wildlife, the adaptations of the animals and plants to this very harsh environment where there's 9 months of winter and just 3 months of cold summer. It's an exciting place to travel.
I've had the opportunity to work with polar bears over in Canada and also northern Alaska, and they're one of the true predators. The polar bear is probably one of the most dangerous of all the animals in the world. Now, I think that's to its credit. It's the perfect predator, and when you think that some of these bears that we're seeing here are patrolling the ice pack in the middle of the darkness right through the wintertime, you got to be pretty tough to do that. The animals that are really still here on this planet are the ones that are successful, obviously. We use the word sustainable today, and that's a good word. That's sort of how the universe works. But these polar bears have been able to be sustainable for a long, long time, and let's hope they stay that way. If the habitat changes, that can threaten their sustainability.
Good morning. You know where we are. We've come through Freemansund, and we're at an area called Dolorite Nisset, and we're at Cap Lee, at the northwest corner of Edgioya. All this island we're seeing across here is Edgioya. We're hoping to go and see some walrus that are hauling out on one of the pretty well-known walrus sites for this area at Cap Lee here. They're not actually performing as well as they might, are they? You see, we've got some reindeer up here on the shore. Unusually, actually, quite a large herd for this part of the world. Probably 6 or 8 animals altogether.
Could you stop the boat from bouncing?
Yeah. Look at the scale. There's at least 2 polar bears here right now. That looks like a monster.
It's the afternoon of our last day as we anchor off Ordalsnuten at the southwest corner of Edgioya. The golden glow of autumn is a grand chance to walk across the tundra. A curious reindeer trots towards us to take a look at us.
The first decision made by the Norwegian government when the Treaty of Svalbard was signed, and the Svalbard Act, when that act had passed in Parliament, the first decision made was put a ban on hunting of the Svalbard reindeer. By then there were only a few hundred maybe left. And it's quite a success story because now we have a population that is at least above 10,000. They're hard to count because they're so spread out.
But the first cold winds of winter shiver the bog saxifrage on the tundra. Likewise, the Arctic mouse-eared chickweed trembles, and we pause behind a rock cliff to look at this natural rock garden, full of fragile but wonderful plants like the mountain sorrel, a great source of food to northern peoples.
Just good, it's fresh.
The moss campion has its last flowers. The sun is dropping now, the last glow from the bog saxifrage. So we take our last pictures, a memorable last visit as we follow the fresh tracks of Arctic fox across the stream, and a last look at the cliffs of Edgioya. But we must turn south, like these young kittiwakes, and move to warmer climes.
to say good afternoon and welcome to Björnöja. It's not Bear Island, it's Björnöja, that's the name. So remember that, Björnöja, Björnöja, Björnöja. And it's a spectacular island located more or less halfway between Svalbard, Spitsbergen, and North Cape. And you have the Gulf Stream coming up. So this island is located where you have the Gulf Stream coming up from the south. You have the cold water current from Siberia coming right here, and they hit each other here. And that's why you get this extraordinary climate here. To get the day here with blue sky, it happens between March and October, twice a year. Having all this warm and cold water mixing, this is, together with the Bering Sea, the most rich sea environment you can find on this planet. And of course, if you have a lot of production here in the ocean, you get seabirds. We are here very late, but you will see that there are still a lot of birds here. The kittiwakes are just about to fledge the chick. There are endless of stories of ships who have disappeared here at Björnöja. And this is the last edition. Happened in March last year. A big storm here with hurricane wind force will smash it into pieces. Wow. That's the needle. Nålen. See if we can do this before the tide goes out.